Hearthstone has just announced its new year of and the core set information, so there's a lot to talk about. Let's talk about it. Year of the Hydra is ending, Year of the Wolf starting. Let's take a look at the blog post to show here what is going on. So Year of the Wolf, talking about that. A lot of stuff happened in Year of the Hydra. They have some information on, and of course they have to show this Year of the Wolf roadmap. They always kind of show these, but really the big thing is it does look like they are focusing this year on standard and battlegrounds mostly. We already kind of knew beforehand that they weren't really going to be doing anything with mercenaries. I don't really see a lot of arena type things, so it does seem like they're focusing on standard and battlegrounds mostly, which does make sense. I believe that those are the two most popular modes and probably the ones that make them the most money as well. So there is that. They do, of course, have the set rotation, the expansions, all of that in here in that roadmap. And there is a wonderful video. Cora talks about all of the changes here. You can check out that video. Now, a couple of big changes. One thing that they are doing is keywords. Bring back some keywords, and Tradeable is staying. Tradeable is staying. It is becoming an evergreen keyword. That is amazing. I love that. Love that. Love that. Talked about in a lot of my videos about what's going to be leaving standard, how Tradeable was such a big thing that is leaving, but they are bringing it back and it's becoming an evergreen keyword. Right here, they state that it's evergreen. It's going to be used a lot, and I love it. I love it. It's an absolutely fantastic keyword, and I'm so excited to see that. So love that Tradeable. They're also bringing back magnetic, which magnetic is one of my favorite older keywords that they had. Ziliax here. Wow. Yeah, Ziliax, powerful card. It does specify, though, magnetic is not becoming an evergreen keyword. So it's really just kind of in core. So that's it. But still pretty good. Now, of course, with the most recent expansion, they announced the overheal for Priest. So they're definitely talking a lot about that here. Some cards that they are bringing back into core are coming back with that overheal keyword. So we will see that, but also Benedictus becoming part of the core set for Priest. It's a whole part of Priest identity with that Shadow Priest style deck. Going to be sticking around. That's going to stay. Definitely going to look here. They have some images that show everything that's kind of leaving and then what's coming in, and those cards that are getting actual changes, adjustments to the cards themselves. So let's take a look at those. So let's take a look at what is leaving and then what is coming in to the core set. So for Demon Hunter, what's leaving is the Corvus Bloodthorn, Sightless Watcher, and Chaos Nova. Chaos Nova, kind of a big one. For Druid, we see Fandral, Force of Nature, Earthen Scales, and Mounted Raptor all leaving. I am thrilled about Earthen Scales leaving. For Hunter, lots of cards leaving here. Houndmaster Shaw, the Snake Trap, Dire Frenzy, Cloaked Huntress, Springpaw all leaving. Springpaw hasn't really seen play in quite a while. Some of these really just didn't see a lot of play anyways, so it makes sense. For Mage, Caligos leaving. Flamestrike leaving. That feels like a big one. Pyromaniac, Ethereal Conjure, and Cone of Cold leaving as well. But Flamestrike, Cone of Cold have been around for quite a while, and Caligos as well. So those leaving, definitely going to be interesting to see what other potential big board clears come around for Mage. Then for Paladin, Ragnaros Light Lord leaving. Reckoning, Avenge, and Noble Sacrifice for Secrets are all leaving. They kind of are just getting rid of the Paladin kind of secrets for now, and getting rid of that whole package. And then Aldor Peacekeeper also leaving core. For Priest, a lot of Priest cards here leaving. Murazond, Lyra the Sunshard, Kultaran Chaplain, Focused Will, Power Infusion, Radiant Elemental, Northshire Cleric. Murzond did see some play for a while. Lyra saw a bit, but I think Radiant Elemental especially is the really big kind of impact here on what's leaving. I'm pretty happy about it. I'm kind of glad that is leaving. For Rogue, Vanessa Van Cleef, Sprint, Assassin's Blade, Sinister Strike, Tomb Pillager, Plague Scientist, and Cold Blood all leaving core set. Not going to be around anymore. Sprint, I feel like out of these, Sprint and maybe Sinister Strike kind of saw the most play over the last year, but those will be gone. I'm kind of glad to see some of these go, but I don't know how much of an impact these leaving will make for Rogue. Then for Shaman, no more Kragwa, no more Manatide Totem, Maelstrom Portal, Tidal Surge, or Rockbiter Weapon. I'm a little sad about the Rockbiter Weapon leaving. That's always been kind of a fun card that I've enjoyed. But I'm kind of interested to see what else they can do, and maybe they can print some really cool Shaman weapons without this Rockbiter Weapon being something that really could make it too strong. For Warlock, High Priestess, Jeklik, Felsoul Jailer, Void Terror, Tiny Knight of Evil, and Darkshire Librarian all leaving. It's kind of a lot of discard stuff. Discard hasn't really been very powerful or successful in Standard, so that's kind of okay. The Jailer, I think, is probably the one that has seen the most play and impact, but that one leaving, I'm really curious on that because there do seem to be a lot of potential combo cards or important pieces. Maybe Warlock doesn't need Jailer anymore, though. Then for Warrior, quite a few cards leaving core set here. Darius Crowley, Gorehowl, Shield Maiden, Armorsmith, Bloodhoof Brave, Fiery War Axe, Bloodsail Deckhand, all leaving the core set. Losing a couple of weapons. Very interesting here. And Darius Crowley personally was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed that card quite a bit. I know a lot of people had some really good memories and enjoyed playing Armorsmith, especially when there was a lot of cards that could really utilize it. So feels like kind of a lot here. And then for neutrals, quite a bit. These top ones, of course, those Explorers. Really, Bran, I would say, is the biggest impact there. I know a lot of people very, very excited Bran is leaving. Mossy Horror hasn't been used for a while. Faceless leaving, though, and Mana Saber, kind of interesting. Faceless Manipulator, a big one. Arcane Devourer, never really saw play. Looks like some kind of secret-related things, but Infiltrator, Violet Teacher, Lone Champion, Acidic Swamp Ooze, very interesting that it will be leaving. Just really never saw play. And if they're bringing the tradable keyword back, Viper, way, way better than Ooze. So seems reasonable to just get rid of that. Stormwatcher, Scalebane, Dark Iron Dwarf, Jungle Panther, Ironbeak Owl, Sunreaver Spy. Those are all kind of things that just really never saw play. They're not really impactful enough. The Sunreaver Spy, I guess, also makes sense if they're kind of getting rid of some secrets, and it just never was quite good enough. Mistress of Mixtures did, however, see some play in some different decks, and Murloc Tiny Fin, maybe a little bit actually, because it's just a Murloc test at synergies and being something you could play for free. Now let's take a look at what is coming into the core set for these classes. So for Demon Hunter, we have Kayn Sunfury, Immolation Aura, and Illidari Studies all coming into the core set. I like these a lot. Kayn was a really fun card and was pretty impactful. Definitely something you had to think about. So Charge definitely seems like something they're bringing back quite a bit this year. For Druid, they're bringing back kind of this Eclipse type mechanic with Curie, Chosen of Elune, Solar Eclipse, Lunar Eclipse, and also looking to fill in more Treant synergies with Witchwood Apple. Also, I did notice the Treants now are only going to be 1 mana. So if you're playing them from hand or summoning them and they get put back in your hand, they're only going to cost 1. For Hunter, we have Dragonbane, Wandering Monster, Cat Trick, Doggy Biscuit sticking around, and Jeweled Macaw. So really interesting here. Dragonbane, one of my favorite Hunter cards from all time. Absolutely love this. And with that Magnetic being back, seems really good. Also, kind of cool to have these other secrets being put back in. We are losing that snake trap. There's another secret or two that's rotating. So Wandering Monster and Cat Trick being back seems really cool. Interested to see the doggy biscuit sticking around and how that's going to become potentially a pretty, I know this is core set, but that could be a really actual core piece for Hunter. But maybe with some of these other mechanics, doggy biscuit doesn't be as popular as it had been. For Mage, it looks like they're bringing back Stargazer Luna, Firelands Portal, Fire Sail sticking around, Flame Geyser coming back, and Arcane Artificer. Pretty interesting here. The Firelands Portal, a big spell that can maybe create some value. Interesting that it's still kind of sticking at that 7 mana. Want to see how good that is. And the Fire Sail, pretty good removal there. It's a kind of a wide board removal effect and has that tradable keyword that's now evergreen. So definitely makes sense. Also very interesting to note, these are 3 fire spells that will be in for that neutral card, Pyrotechnician, in the new expansion. If people are going to be playing that, these are all fire spells that could be generated. For Paladin, they're bringing back a little bit more of that Silverhand Recruit synergy with Lothraxian and Muster for Battle. Gonna be interesting to see if those actually do anything. Maybe in future expansions, they'll have more support for some of these Silverhand Recruits, but we'll see if these kind of are good enough to play in Standard. Then Hammer of Wrath, Hand of a Doll, and the Grime Street Outfitter seems pretty good. The Grime Street Outfitter is kind of interesting. It's not quite as good as the Bannerman that draws a card and then buffs things in hand, but very similar effect. And the Hand of a Doll was very, very popular before, so I'd imagine that that is probably still going to be a thing. Now, Priest, very interesting here. We have Katrina Morte, Benedictus that I already mentioned, but that Shadow mechanic sticking around, Mana Geode and that Crimson Clergy coming back, and Holy Champion all coming back with that Overheal keyword. Shadow Ascendant coming in, also in Undead, so definitely could see play in some of those like Shadow builds. And Shard of the Naru actually sticking around as well. That tradable mechanic becoming evergreen. We're seeing some of these. That seems pretty good for Priest. Now looking at the Rogue cards coming into the core set, they are really focusing on secrets for Rogue. So Shadow Jeweler Hanar coming back in. The Elven Minstrel coming in to draw some minions. Then, of course, you have the secrets with Ambush, Plagiarize, and Cheat Death. Also work with that Shadow Jeweler Hanar. Fan of Knives coming in. Also did get a little bit of a buff with only being 2 mana. And then Eviscerate coming in as well. Eviscerate's it definitely has seen a lot of play in the past when it was in Standard. I don't think it's quite as good, honestly, as the ranked spell that is leaving with this rotation now. That can go up to 6, but with spell damage and other things, Eviscerate still probably going to be pretty good. Shaman here getting a bit of Overload and Totem synergies here with Grand Totem Eyesore, Overdraft, Thing from Below, Ancestral Knowledge, and Zap. I am really excited about the Overload stuff. I think these Overload cards and the Overdraft specifically, with it being tradable, it has a payoff of the Overload effect. So you're getting additional benefits when you play Overload cards. I really am excited to see Shaman Overload stuff this year. Warlock getting into the core set, Melganis, Enhanced Dreadlord, Defile, Void Collar, Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb, pretty interesting. It's a cheap removal that also damages your hero. We'll see how effective that is. And also looks like bringing back quite a bit of the demons here in Melganis. I don't know how well the demon package or a demon warlock will be, but we'll see. It always depends on what else is coming later in the year. And Defile, definitely kind of a player favorite. A lot of people liked Defile, so going to be interesting to see that coming back. And then for Warrior, we have our Megadillo coming back. We have the Bladestorm, Dinomatic, Sword Eater, Heavy Plate sticking around, that tradable, Frightened Flunky, and Woodcutter's Axe. I don't know if Woodcutter's Axe is quite the replacement for Gorehowl or Fiery War Axe, but maybe, I guess. It could be something. Kind of feels weird. We'll see what other weapons are coming up for Warrior, but honestly, with the Tradeable, that heavy plate, such a great card for Warrior. Sword Eater always felt really great. The Dinomatic being a mech, and that magnetic effect coming back, plus that battle cry, maybe Dinomatic is a solid tool. And I know a lot of people really liked that Armadillo. It's an end of turn effect you're going to get immediately. They're seeming to really be trying to push a taunt warrior. Don't know still if it's going to be quite good enough for like top tier standard decks, but we'll see. Also very interesting that Armadillo, yeah, it's supposed to be a beast, but because of the additional stuff on it, I always thought it was a mech. So it feels weird to me looking at it as a beast and not a mech or even a dual type thing. We'll see. I think having the potential of putting a magnetic effect on Armadillo, maybe it would be a little too much. And then for neutral, some pretty impactful neutrals, honestly, coming into the set. Ragnaros the Fire Lord. I'm excited to play Ragnaros with that Jive insect in Shaman and have multiple Ragnaroses out on the board. Ragnaroses, Ragnarosi, I don't know what the plural is. Dr. Boom coming back, kind of cool there. And Ziliax, of course, you gotta have Ziliax if you're bringing back that magnetic. Very, very popular card. Black Knight coming back. They are really pushing that taunt mechanic. We'll see how much Black Knight is used. Dirty Rat hasn't been seen in quite a while. This one going to be very interesting to see if people play this one. I think this definitely could be an impactful one for sure. Of course, you got to have more of these magnetic effects like the Replicating Menace, the War Gear in here. Cult Neophyte, a big one that's probably going to see play, especially early in the year. I'm kind of interested of this Eater of Secrets. I guess if like Secret Rogue or something is popular, but they're getting rid of the Paladin Secrets. Interesting that they're bringing that back. Armor Vendor seems like a solid early minion. Rodden Applebaum, I love that card. Definitely excited for that to be back. And of course, a couple of tradables here. The Royal Librarian, maybe silencing is good, but they did get rid of Owl, so they have to have some silence. And that Viper to replace Acidic Swamp Ooze. A little bit more magnetic here. Again, Bronze Gatekeeper. The Hench Clan Thug, kind of interesting with attack. Dread Corsair, just a pirate. And Taunt again. Glacial Shard, freezing an enemy. Pretty impactful, especially if there's going to be a lot of weapons potentially. You could freeze or just Rustrot Viper, but being able to freeze things like Demon Hunter, especially with some of the newer cards that we're seeing, pretty impactful. Mermy is an interesting one here. It's an undead and a Murloc, so has that dual type. Maybe we'll see that get some play. Tour Guide to me feels like a very big one to be back. The hero powers costing 0, I think was pretty prevalent when Tour Guide was in standard before. We'll see if it has kind of the same effect. And then, of course, they put out a little graphic here as well with cards that are either returning or that are new to the core set that have changes, like the one costing Treant that I mentioned already. Other changes like Consecration being 3 mana, True Silver Champion healing for 3. Some of these come back with new mechanics like the Overheal. So definitely are some changes here. The War Gear having 6 attack instead of 5. The Replicating Menace being a little bit stronger as well. The Hellfire being a little bit less costly. Just a lot of slight changes to these cards. You can glance over those. But very interesting. I'm kind of looking forward to this year. I'm glad Brand's leaving. I'm excited about Tradeable becoming an evergreen keyword. And I'm excited for Magnetic to be back. But that is definitely the most impactful to me. But what do do you think of all these changes? Are you excited for Year of the Wolf and this core set? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for checking this out. You can take a look at the whole playlist here of the videos I did on some of those impactful cards that are leaving standard. And now we have this knowledge of some of these cards even sticking around. So go check out that playlist. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.